Hello there, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. Tonight we wander into a world beneath our feet, a quiet world of tunnels, chambers, and patient movement. Ants live in a rhythm that is almost invisible to us. They work in steady patterns, they move with purpose, and they shape the soil in gentle, persistent ways that feel timeless. When you watch them closely, there is no rush in their motion. There is only calm order, small steps taken with quiet intention, repeated again and again until entire cities grow beneath the earth. Before we begin, take a slow breath and let the day loosen its hold on you. Let your shoulders soften, let your thoughts drift. Imagine the cool shade under a tree, the quiet rustle of leaves, and the soft shifting of soil. Imagine tiny footsteps moving in harmony, each one light enough to go unnoticed, yet all together forming a living heartbeat beneath the ground. Ants have existed for millions of years, shaping ecosystems with patience rather than force, creating balance through cooperation rather than speed. Tonight we will follow their gentle patterns. We will explore how ants communicate, how they build, how they navigate, and how their quiet persistence supports entire forests and fields. If this peaceful journey helps you rest, I invite you to subscribe and return anytime your mind needs a place to slow down. For now, let your breath settle into an easy rhythm, and let the quiet world of the ants rise softly in your imagination. Let's begin. Deep beneath the surface of the soil, ants create vast networks of tunnels that they build grain by grain. Each tunnel curves gently through the earth in a way that allows air to flow softly from one chamber to the next. The soil around these tunnels becomes lighter over time, almost like a sponge, allowing roots to grow more easily and water to move with smooth, quiet motion. When you imagine these underground structures, you can picture a slow architectural process that never rushes, each ant carrying a single particle of earth with steady patience, shaping a world that grows not from force, but from repetition. Ants use a form of communication that travels through scent rather than sound. A single ant can leave a faint chemical trail that other ants follow with ease, as if reading a map drawn in soft, invisible ink. This trail carries messages that guide the colony toward food, warn of danger, or call for help. These chemical signals drift through the air and settle on the ground, forming pathways that last just long enough for the colony to respond. The process feels almost like a whisper passed from ant to ant, a quiet language woven into the world around them. Inside a colony, ants move with a calm rhythm that looks chaotic from afar, but reveals a deep order when watched slowly. Each ant completes small tasks that blend into a larger pattern. One ant cleans a chamber, another tends to larvae, another organizes tiny grains of food. There are no commands or interruptions, only instinct guiding each movement. This collective behavior creates a harmony that feels similar to a slow breathing pattern, with the colony expanding and contracting as ants travel through their tunnels in smooth streams. The queen ant is the heart of the colony. She begins her life as a winged creature, soaring into the open air during a short flight that decides the future of countless ants. After mating, she lands and gently removes her wings, settling into a long period of stillness. For the rest of her life, she focuses on laying eggs, one after another, in a quiet cycle that continues for years or even decades. Her presence keeps the colony stable. Everything around her moves, but she remains at the center, a steady pulse that supports the entire network. Ants care for their young in ways that feel surprisingly gentle. They carry eggs and larvae carefully between chambers that hold perfect humidity and temperature for growth. When a larva needs food, a worker ant touches it softly with her antennae and provides nourishment through a shared exchange. This care is constant and patient. The young develop slowly, transforming in hidden chambers where the air stays still and warm. The process resembles a nursery, peaceful and devoted to growth. Many ants farm their own food by tending small gardens of fungus deep underground. They collect leaves from the surface, chew them into soft pulp, and place them in special chambers where the fungus can grow. They care for this garden day and night, removing pests and adjusting moisture with gentle precision. In return, the fungus provides nourishment for the colony. The relationship is calm and balanced, a quiet cooperation that has existed for millions of years. Ants navigate the world with remarkable accuracy, often finding their way back home even after travelling long distances. They do this by remembering the angle of sunlight, the shape of the land, and the scent of the soil. They can even sense how long they have walked by counting tiny steps. This inner map is not frantic or hurried. It unfolds naturally as they move, allowing each ant to return to the colony with slow certainty, even when hidden under leaves or drifting among shadows. Some species of ants link their bodies together to form living structures that help the colony move safely through difficult terrain. They form bridges with their legs and mandibles, creating pathways over water, gaps, and rough surfaces. These living bridges flex gently as ants walk across them. The ants that form the bridge remain still and patient the entire time, supporting their companions with calm strength. When the colony finishes crossing, the bridge dissolves slowly as each ant detaches and continues on its way. Ants also build chambers specifically designed to regulate temperature and moisture, acting like natural engineers. They adjust openings to allow breezes to pass through, or close pathways to keep warmth inside. These changes happen gradually as ants sense shifts in the air and respond with small but steady actions. The entire nest becomes a living organism, breathing through tiny entrances, maintaining comfort without noise, machinery, or disruption. In many forests, ant colonies help the ecosystem by gently breaking down fallen leaves, dead insects, and small plants. They carry pieces of matter into their tunnels, where it decomposes slowly into rich soil. Over time, this soil feeds new roots and brings nutrients back into the environment. The forest grows stronger because of these quiet efforts. Ants become unseen caretakers of the land, working beneath the surface in a rhythm that supports the life above them. Ant colonies often create separate chambers for different tasks, organizing their underground world with a gentle sense of order. One chamber might hold food, another might house the young, another may be used for resting, and another for caring for the queen. None of this is planned in a human sense. It forms naturally through thousands of small decisions made by individual ants following instinctive cues. Over time, the nest grows into a complex structure with smooth hallways and rounded rooms, shaped not by tools but by countless tiny mandibles, working in calm repetition. When you imagine the colony expanding, you can picture the earth being shaped grain by grain in slow motion, like a quiet sculpture carved by patience. Some ants have the remarkable ability to regulate the temperature inside their nest by adjusting airflow. They open small tunnels when the inside becomes warm and close. Others when cool air begins to settle. This creates soft currents that move through the underground chambers, balancing the climate with subtle precision. Ants do not measure temperature with tools. They sense the shift through their bodies and respond with steady, coordinated movement. The nest becomes a living system that breathes with them, keeping the queen, the workers, and the larvae in a state of steady comfort. This natural engineering happens constantly without noise or urgency. Ants recognize one another by scent, carrying a chemical signature on their bodies that identifies them as members of the same colony. When two ants meet, they gently touch antennae in a slow, deliberate gesture that helps them understand each other's role and purpose. This simple act, repeated thousands of times each day, maintains harmony inside the colony. It prevents unnecessary conflict and reinforces the unity that keeps the nest functioning smoothly. The antennae touch is not an aggressive action. It is a soft exchange of information that strengthens the social fabric of the colony, reminding each ant where it belongs. Some ant species create rafts during floods by interlocking their bodies tightly enough to float on the surface of rising water. They shape themselves into a broad, buoyant platform, with the queen and the young sheltered safely in the centre. The ants on the bottom surface stay calm as water touches them, relying on the collective strength of the raft to remain above danger. This floating structure drifts slowly across the water until the colony reaches dry ground again. When the flood recedes, the raft dissolves gently as each ant releases its hold and returns to the earth. The entire process is quiet, purposeful, and deeply coordinated. Ants often build paths that become smoother over time as thousands of tiny feet travel the same route. Each step shifts a grain of dirt or presses a small leaf into place, turning a rough passage into a clean, soft trail. These trails guide ants to food sources, water, or new nest sites. They form and strengthen without planning or design, simply as a result of consistent movement. When observed up close, the path looks like a faint ribbon drawn across the landscape, a sign of calm persistence rather than force. Even when disturbed, the ants rebuild their paths steadily, restoring them with the same patient motion that created them. Some ants have developed the ability to farm aphids, caring for them and protecting them much like humans care for livestock. The aphids feed on plant sap, and in return they produce a sweet liquid that the ants collect. The ants move the aphids gently from leaf to leaf, choosing the healthiest plants for them to feed on. They guard them from predators and even shelter them in their nests during harsh weather. This quiet partnership benefits both species and unfolds with slow, cooperative rhythms. The ants tend to their aphids so carefully that the relationship becomes a small, living example of harmony in nature. Ants are capable of remarkable cooperation when confronting obstacles. If a twig blocks their path, they do not rush or scatter. Instead, they approach the barrier in steady lines, studying it with soft touches of their antennae. Gradually, a few ants begin to climb over it while others carry pieces of debris to stabilize their footing. When the first ants reach the other side, they leave a faint trail that guides the rest of the colony. In time, the entire group crosses the obstacle as though moving across a bridge designed specifically for them. This process shows how calm cooperation can overcome challenges without stress or urgency. Some ants possess the ability to store food inside their own bodies, becoming living reservoirs for the colony. These ants hang from the ceilings of special chambers, their bodies swelling slowly with nectar collected during times of abundance. When food becomes scarce, the workers gently touch these storage ants, who release small portions of nourishment for the colony. This exchange happens in complete stillness. The storage ants remain motionless, offering sustenance with quiet reliability. They become symbols of patience and generosity within the nest, holding the colony together through challenging seasons. Ants use the position of the sun to navigate long distances with surprising accuracy. They can estimate direction by sensing the way sunlight strikes their bodies and how shadows shift as they move. This internal compass guides them back to their nest even after travelling far across open terrain. Their awareness of sunlight is not sharp or analytical. It is soft, instinctive, and continuous, forming a steady guide that never overwhelms them. As the sun arcs across the sky, ants adjust their path with gentle corrections, moving through the world in smooth, confident lines. Some ant colonies relocate their entire nest when conditions become unsafe or unfavourable. This migration happens in waves of calm movement, not frantic disorder. Worker ants carry the queen with careful precision. Others cradle the larvae or eggs in their mandibles, protecting them as they move through new terrain. Scouts search ahead for secure locations, marking the way with a thin trail that the rest follow. The migration resembles a slow, steady river of life flowing from one home to another. By the time the colony settles into its new nest, every ant has contributed to the journey through patient, steady effort. Ants create gentle rhythms within the colony by following daily patterns of work and rest that unfold naturally without strict timing. Different groups of ants become active at slightly different moments, so the nest moves through slow cycles of motion and stillness. Some ants groom one another in quiet corners, others tend to the young, and others search for food outside. These overlapping rhythms prevent the colony from ever becoming chaotic. Instead, it feels like a softly pulsing organism breathing through countless small movements that rise and fall with calm precision. Ants clean themselves with delicate care, using their legs and antennae to brush away dust and tiny particles from their bodies. This grooming is not rushed. Each ant spends time smoothing its antennae, cleaning its legs, and wiping its mandibles. This behavior not only keeps them healthy, but also spreads the colony's shared scent across the workers, reinforcing unity and recognition. When you watch an ant grooming itself, the movements appear almost meditative, slow and deliberate, as if the insect is centering itself within the constant rhythm of colony life. Some species create underground chambers lined with small stones or hardened soil that help keep moisture levels stable. These chambers provide perfect conditions for storing seeds or raising delicate larvae. The work of lining a chamber takes many hours of carrying tiny materials from one place to another, fitting them carefully into the walls. This slow construction creates a stable environment that supports life inside the nest. It shows the quiet intelligence of ants, revealed not in sudden bursts of activity, but in long periods of steady effort. Ants often cooperate in transporting objects much larger than themselves. When a piece of food is too big for one ant to move alone, several ants gather around it, each taking hold in slow coordination. They do not yank or pull with force. They adjust their positions, sense each other's direction, and begin to move together as one. The object shifts gradually across the ground as the ants maintain a shared rhythm. Watching this cooperation feels like witnessing a gentle dance, where strength comes not from size but from quiet unity. In many forests, ants spread seeds by carrying them to safe underground locations where they can germinate. The ants are attracted to a small nutritious coating on the seed and bring it back to their nest, where the coating is eaten and the seed is discarded in a protected place. Many plants rely completely on ants for this service. The process of seed dispersal occurs quietly beneath leaves and soil, shaping the forest in ways that we rarely notice. Each small action contributes to the growth of new life in slow, steady cycles. Some ants have the ability to sense vibrations traveling through the soil. These vibrations may signal approaching danger, shifting weather, or even the footsteps of larger creatures. Ants respond calmly, adjusting their behavior without panic. They may close entrances, deepen their tunnels, or gather closer to one another. This sensitivity helps the colony stay safe, allowing them to interpret the subtle language of the earth. Their ability to read the ground beneath them gives their world a gentle connection to the planet's natural pulse. The brood chambers of ant colonies are warm environments where the young develop in soft piles that the workers tend with constant attention. Ants move the larvae to different parts of the nest depending on temperature changes, placing them in warmer areas during cool periods and cooler areas during hot weather. The workers hold the larvae gently, rotating them slowly to ensure even growth. The brood chamber becomes a cradle of life, maintained through calm, nurturing behaviors that resemble caring hands rather than instinctive actions. Ants often remove debris, fallen leaves, and small obstacles from their trails to keep the pathways clear for the colony. This trail maintenance happens quietly as individuals stop momentarily to shift a tiny item aside or press the soil into a smoother shape. Over time, the trail becomes a well-kept pathway that guides thousands of ants with ease. These small acts of cleaning accumulate into a large effect, creating a natural road system etched through grass, soil, and fallen leaves. It is gentle landscaping done by many tiny caretakers working together in steady harmony. Some ant species create outdoor shelters using fragments of leaves and twigs. They place these fragments strategically to shield parts of their trails or feeding areas from harsh sunlight or rain. The shelters are not permanent structures but temporary coverings shaped to meet the needs of the moment. When conditions change, the ants adjust or rebuild the shelters with quiet efficiency. This adaptability highlights how ants solve problems with calm creativity, responding to their environment in thoughtful, measured ways rather than sudden movements. Ants also have a remarkable ability to rest while remaining collectively aware. Even during calm periods, some ants stay slightly active, ready to sense danger or environmental shifts. This gentle balance between stillness and alertness keeps the colony safe without disturbing its peace. When the nest becomes entirely quiet, the air inside feels almost like a soft hum of shared energy. Each ant settles into a restful posture, yet the colony as a whole stays connected through subtle movements and shared scent. This harmony between individual rest and collective awareness allows the colony to maintain calm stability throughout the night. Ants share information with one another through gentle touches of their antennae, and these touches are far more complex than they appear. Each contact passes tiny signals that tell other ants where food lies, whether danger is near, or which task needs more attention. These exchanges happen constantly throughout the day, forming a network of communication that moves through this colony like a soft ripple. There is no shouting or tension in this system, only calm interactions repeated over and over until information spreads naturally. This steady sensory language keeps the colony united in purpose without any need for a leader to direct every action. Some species of ants create chambers dedicated solely to waste, keeping their nests clean and organized. These refuse chambers help prevent disease and allow the ants to move freely without clutter. Workers gently carry debris, dead insects, and food remnants to these specific areas, arranging the nest like thoughtful caretakers. This quiet management of their living space shows remarkable awareness of hygiene and order. The nest always feels open and breathable because of their constant, patient maintenance, revealing a type of natural housekeeping that unfolds slowly and without interruption. Ants have an extraordinary ability to sense the chemical trails left by their companions, and these trails can guide them even after many hours. When food is found, the first worker returns to the nest, leaving a faint path behind. As more ants follow and reinforce the trail, it becomes a soft, invisible roadway that grows stronger with each tiny footstep. Over time, what began as a single line becomes a clear guide for the colony. This chemical highway fades slowly when no longer needed, dissolving back into the natural environment without disturbance. It is a beautiful example of navigation that uses no landmarks, only scent and memory woven into the earth itself. In some ant species, workers take turns caring for the queen, grooming her gently and tending to her needs. These attendants move around her slowly and with care, bringing food, cleaning her body, and helping maintain the right temperature around her chamber. The queen remains calm at the center of this attention, releasing pheromones that reassure the colony from her quiet position. The care she receives is steady and respectful, built from countless small acts that keep the heart of the nest healthy and stable. It is a nurturing ritual performed in complete silence. Ants often create ventilation systems in their nests by shaping tunnels in ways that encourage fresh air to flow. Warm air rises through vertical shafts, while cooler air enters from lower openings. This gentle airflow helps regulate the temperature and humidity within the deeper chambers. The ants adjust the structure over time, adding or closing passages as the seasons change. The entire system operates without machines or force, relying solely on the natural movements of air. It is a quiet architectural intelligence formed from instinct and repeated practice. Some ants build nests in trees, weaving together leaves using silk produced by their own larvae. Workers hold the leaves in place, while the larvae supply threads that bind everything into a single structure. The process is slow and delicate, with each ant performing its role in calm coordination. The finished nest feels like a living cradle suspended among branches, created entirely through cooperation and care. Inside, the air remains cool and shaded, providing a peaceful home that sways gently when the wind passes. Ant colonies sometimes work together to create living walls that protect their nest from predators. When danger approaches, workers assemble in layers, linking their bodies and forming a barrier that discourages intrusion. These formations are not frantic or chaotic. They rise gradually as ants respond to the scent of alarm pheromones. Once the threat passes, the wall dissolves back into a flowing stream of workers returning to their tasks. The transition between defense and calm life is smooth and instinctively choreographed. Some ants forage in groups that move like slow, organized rivers across the ground. Each ant maintains a comfortable distance from the others, adjusting its pace to stay in rhythm with the group. These foraging lines can stretch for many meters, appearing as soft threads moving through grass, soil, and fallen leaves. The ants collect what they find and return along the same gentle path. This collective movement is continuous but never hurried, shaped by mutual awareness and quiet coordination. Ants can remember the location of their nest even when visual cues change, relying on the patterns of the sky and the angle of sunlight. Their internal sense of direction allows them to walk in straight lines across uneven terrain and return home without hesitation. This internal compass adjusts slowly as the day moves, allowing them to match their path to the shifting light. The process is smooth and constant, like following the soft turn of a clock. Their certainty brings a sense of calm even in complex environments. In some species, ants store food underground by creating small granaries where seeds and other items are kept dry and preserved. Workers check these storage chambers often, removing mold, rearranging seeds, and ensuring proper airflow. The granary remains a quiet reserve for times when food becomes scarce. The care they give to this storage is careful and patient, reflecting a deep natural wisdom. It transforms the nest into a self-sustaining world where every chamber supports the next, all maintained by a rhythm of small, steady actions. Deep within an ant colony, temperature does not rise and fall randomly. Instead, ants make quiet adjustments to the architecture of their nest, widening tunnels or opening small chambers so that warm air can escape and cool air can drift in. This delicate management happens slowly throughout the day as workers sense subtle changes in their environment. They do not need instructions or signals from above. Their instincts guide them to create balance in the same way a forest naturally regulates its own humidity. Over time, the nest becomes a world where temperature settles into a gentle, steady range that supports young larvae and resting workers. It is a living space shaped not by machines but by the patient touch of countless tiny movements. In some species, ants practice a kind of agriculture by raising fungi in underground gardens. They gather leaves, soften them, clean them, and use them as nourishment for the fungus they depend on. These underground chambers are warm and humid, kept in ideal conditions through constant attention. Workers move slowly through these fungal gardens, trimming unwanted growth and tending to fresh leaves. The relationship between ant and fungus is one of quiet cooperation, each supporting the other in a cycle that has continued for millions of years. This peaceful partnership creates a deep sense of stability within the colony. Ants exhibit a remarkable ability to share resources with one another in a way that feels almost ceremonial. When a worker returns with food, she will gently offer a droplet to another ant by mouth-to-mouth exchange, a behavior known as trophallaxis. The gesture is slow and calm, like a tiny act of kindness repeated across the nest. Through these exchanges, nutrients flow evenly throughout the colony, ensuring that no single individual is left without support. It is a system built on trust, reinforcing the sense that the colony is a single, interconnected organism rather than a collection of separate beings. Some worker ants take on a role that resembles that of a quiet sentinel. They position themselves near entrances or along well-travelled tunnels, standing still for long periods as they sense vibrations and chemical cues from the environment. Their awareness protects the colony from surprise disturbances, yet their presence is not aggressive. It is a calm vigilance, shaped by instinct and purpose. When they detect something unusual, they communicate with gentle touches or subtle pheromones, allowing the colony to shift its activity smoothly rather than erupting in panic. Ants groom themselves and each other throughout the day, not for vanity but to maintain the health of the colony. These grooming sessions are slow and deliberate. A worker will stroke her antennae with her forelegs, brushing away dust and adjusting the delicate joints. Sometimes she will groom a nestmate with equal care, removing debris and spreading beneficial chemicals across their shared surface. This grooming strengthens social bonds and keeps the colony clean, creating an atmosphere of gentle attention and calm cooperation. There are species of ants that specialize in repairing tunnels and chambers. Whenever the nest structure weakens or shifts, these workers approach the area with small grains of soil or fragments of plant material. They position each piece with care, smoothing the walls until the passage becomes stable again. This maintenance takes place quietly and without urgency. The workers simply notice what is needed and respond with steady, unhurried precision. Their work ensures that the colony remains safe, even as the outside world shifts with weather and time. Ant colonies expand gradually through careful exploration. When ants search for new nesting sites, they travel outward in thin lines, pausing often to sense the ground, the air, and the surrounding plants. If a location seems promising, they return with subtle signals that attract a few companions. Together they examine the site again, moving slowly, evaluating moisture, space, and stability. Only after this calm inspection does the colony consider relocating. This thoughtful process ensures that the new home will offer safety and quiet for many generations to come. In the darkness of their tunnels, ants rely on touch as much as scent. When two ants meet, they pause and gently sweep their antennae across one another's heads and bodies. This soft physical greeting conveys identity, health, and purpose. These moments of contact reaffirm the connection between members of the colony. Even in the busy nest, these meetings feel unhurried and warm, reminders that each individual is recognized and included within the silent network of the group. Some ants create bridges using their own bodies, linking together to form a living structure that others can walk across. Each ant adjusts its position as needed, holding steady while others pass over them. The bridge may remain for only a few minutes or for many hours, depending on the colony's needs. Once their task is complete, the bridge dissolves and the ants return calmly to their regular movements. This ability to transform into a single supportive structure reflects a deep instinct for cooperation and service that unfolds without haste or struggle. Ants often store not only food but also moisture within special chambers of the nest. These moisture chambers help regulate humidity during dry periods. Workers visit them regularly, sensing the air and adjusting small openings to maintain balance. The humidity remains soft and even, supporting the growth of young larvae and preventing the soil from becoming brittle. This quiet regulation happens continuously in tiny increments until the entire nest feels stable and comfortable. It is a subtle kind of environmental stewardship, practiced in darkness by ants who move gently and with purpose. Inside an ant colony, time flows in a steady and unhurried rhythm because every worker knows its role without needing to be reminded. Newborn ants begin their lives in quiet nursery chambers, where older workers tend to them with a gentle patience that feels almost maternal. They rotate the larvae slowly, cleaning them with careful strokes and offering nourishment at regular intervals. These small actions create a sense of calm throughout the nest, as if the entire colony breathes around these young lives. The care is not rushed or fragmented. It continues through day and night, a continuous cycle of soft attention that ensures each new generation is raised in an atmosphere of safety and stability. Certain ants act as living storage vessels known as repletes. These ants hang from the ceilings of special chambers deep within the nest, their abdomens swollen with stored liquid food. They remain still for long periods, offering nourishment to other ants during seasons when food is scarce. When a worker approaches a replete, the exchange is gentle and controlled, with a small droplet passed from one mouth to the other. This process creates a sustainable food reserve that functions like a quiet living pantry. The repletes spend their days suspended in soft darkness, contributing silently to the colony's survival without movement or urgency. Some ants create expansive underground networks with chambers dedicated to different functions. There are rooms for resting, areas for storing food, nurseries for raising young, and tunnels that allow air to circulate naturally. These spaces are shaped over months and years through countless tiny adjustments. Workers carry grains of soil one at a time, widening passages or smoothing floors until the nest evolves into a stable, multi-leveled world beneath the earth. This architecture grows slowly, guided only by instinct and patience, and the result is a home that feels organized, sheltered, and perfectly tuned to the rhythm of ant life. Ants often move in shared patterns that seem almost choreographed. When foragers leave the nest, their lines stretch outward like calm rivers flowing across the land. Each ant adjusts to the movements of those around it, avoiding collisions and maintaining an easy pace. If the terrain becomes rough or obstacles appear, the formation shifts naturally, broadening or tightening without any sign of stress. The fluidity of these movements creates an almost hypnotic sense of order. Watching them is like watching a slow tide roll over sand, purposeful yet peaceful, shaped by the collective awareness of each tiny traveller. In many species, ants can detect minute vibrations in the soil, allowing them to sense distant disturbances long before they become visible. Their bodies pick up the subtle tremors caused by footsteps, rainfall, or shifting earth. These vibrations are processed instinctively, guiding their movements and helping them navigate through darkness. This sensitivity gives the colony a quiet form of awareness that extends far beyond the walls of the nest. Without ever rising to the surface, they can feel the world moving around them and adjust their behavior with calm precision. Some ants create small shelters made from pebbles, grains of soil, or plant fragments. These shelters protect them while they feed or rest outside the nest. The building process is gentle, never hurried. A worker may take several minutes to position a single piece, nudging it into place with patient taps of her antennae and legs. Over time, these small structures grow into stable, shaded corners that offer refuge from sun, wind, or predators. The construction reflects a kind of quiet craftsmanship rarely noticed by the world above. Ants possess an extraordinary sense of smell that allows them to understand their surroundings without relying on sight. Scents reveal the identity of nestmates, the age of larvae, the availability of food, and even the health of the colony. This chemical awareness creates a gentle but constant flow of information, drifting through tunnels and chambers like an invisible language. It allows ants to stay connected to one another no matter where they are in the nest. Through this subtle communication, the colony remains unified and calm, maintaining harmony in even the busiest moments. When ants harvest seeds, they often clean and arrange them carefully inside special storage chambers. They sort the seeds by size and dryness, removing any that show signs of decay. This quiet diligence helps the food remain viable for long periods. Some species even remove the parts of the seed that could sprout, ensuring the supply remains stable. These seed stores are checked and maintained regularly, creating a calm rhythm of care and preparation that supports the colony through lean seasons. Ants working on the surface communicate through subtle body movements and brief touches, allowing them to coordinate activities without sound. An ant may pause beside another, gently brushing antennae to share a simple message. Then both continue on their way, adjusting their tasks accordingly. This form of communication is silent, efficient, and graceful. It maintains order in situations that could easily become chaotic, allowing hundreds or thousands of individuals to work together with ease and purpose. Deep beneath the nest, Ants sometimes create resting chambers where workers can pause, groom themselves and regain energy. These chambers are carefully maintained to be still and comfortable, with smooth surfaces and moderated airflow. Inside, the noise of the outside world fades, replaced by the soft hum of the colony's life. Ants gather here in small groups, not to socialize but to rest in shared quiet. These moments of stillness help the colony remain balanced, allowing each worker to continue contributing without exhaustion. Within the quiet order of a colony, ants practice a form of teamwork that feels almost instinctive. When a heavy object blocks their path, a single ant will pause beside it, assessing its weight and angle. Soon, others gather around her, sensing through touch and scent what needs to be done. Together they lift it with a slow, synchronized effort, adjusting their positions until the object skims a move. The motion is steady and deliberate, free from struggle or disorder. As they carry it, the group shifts shape in response to the terrain, becoming wider on uneven ground or narrower when passing through tight spaces. It is a wordless kind of cooperation that grows naturally from their shared rhythm, a demonstration of strength that feels gentle rather than forceful. Some ants have the ability to count steps and landmarks in a way that guides them back home with surprising accuracy. When they leave the nest, they create a mental map based on distance, light, and subtle spatial cues. They navigate with quiet confidence even across unfamiliar terrain. Each step is measured in their internal sense of direction, helping them return in a straight and steady line. If the environment shifts, they adjust calmly, relying on the angle of the sun or the faint scent of the colony to guide them. This combination of instinct and subtle tracking forms a navigation system that feels effortless, allowing countless ants to wander far and still find their way back without confusion. In some species, ants create temporary shelters using their own bodies to shield the colony from sudden changes in weather. When rain begins to fall or the air cools unexpectedly, workers gather together, forming a soft barrier around vulnerable brood chambers or food stores. Their linked bodies hold warmth inside while keeping moisture away. As conditions improve, the structure gently relaxes and dissolves, each ant returning to its original task. The transformation from scattered individuals to a protective living shield happens so smoothly that it feels like a single organism adjusting to its surroundings. It is one of the clearest examples of how a colony functions as a unified whole, protecting itself through collective calm. Ants maintain peaceful order in their nest through a balance of personal routine and shared purpose. Each worker tends to certain tasks based on age, health, and the needs of the colony. Young workers often stay deeper underground caring for larvae, while older ants venture farther from the nest to forage. These roles shift gradually as individuals age, creating a gentle rotation of duties that keeps the colony functioning smoothly. There is no conflict or competition in this system, only a natural progression of responsibilities. The colony operates like a slow, steady clock, with each ant contributing according to its rhythm and ability. For many species, the act of finding food is not a frantic search, but a series of calm explorations. Foragers move slowly across the landscape, pausing often to taste the air or examine the soil. When they find something valuable, they take a moment to memorize the scent before returning to the nest. Along the way, they leave a faint chemical trail that guides others with quiet precision. These trails become soft pathways that shift with the season, forming a living map that adapts to new sources of nourishment. Over time, the colony develops a deep familiarity with its surroundings, learning the terrain through thousands of unhurried journeys. Inside the nest, ants create microclimates through the arrangement of soil, debris, and chambers. Warmth accumulates in deeper layers, while cooler air lingers near the entrance tunnels. Workers move larvae between these zones depending on what they need, lowering them into warmth or raising them into cooler passages with gentle care. This movement is slow and thoughtful, ensuring each developing ant receives the perfect conditions at the perfect moment. the nest becomes a carefully managed environment where every chamber serves a purpose, contributing to the steady growth of the colony. Some ants practice a kind of patience that reflects the deep time of evolution. When resources are scarce, they do not panic or rush into dangerous territory. Instead, they slow their movements, reduce their foraging distance, and conserve energy as a group. The colony shifts into a quiet, low-activity state that can last for days or even weeks. During this period, ants check food stores, tend to the brood, and maintain the nest with minimal effort. This peaceful conservation allows them to survive challenging periods without stress. It is a natural form of resilience built from calm endurance rather than frantic effort. Ants show remarkable respect for old tunnels and established pathways. When a trail has been used for many days, the ground beneath it becomes a smooth corridor shaped by countless tiny footsteps. Even when new routes are available, ants often continue using these familiar paths because they feel stable and predictable. Their preference for these well-worn trails reveals a subtle form of collective memory. The colony relies not only on present cues, but also on the reassurance of routes shaped by the past. This habit adds a comforting continuity to their daily movements. In some species, ants collect tiny fragments of the world around them: seeds, petals, leaves, and bits of soil. Not just for food, but to line their chambers. These materials help regulate humidity, provide bedding for larvae, or strengthen the walls of their tunnels. The workers gather each piece with care, sometimes carrying them for long distances across uneven terrain. As they arrange these pieces inside the nest, the chambers become soft, insulated spaces that hold warmth and protect delicate young. This subtle interior design brings comfort to the colony, wrapping everyday life in gentle environmental support. When two ants meet outside the nest after long foraging journeys, they often pause to share not only food but also information. Their exchange begins with a soft touch of antennae, followed by a moment of stillness as they sense each other's condition. This communication is slow and deliberate, filled with chemical details about distance, direction, and the richness of the food source. After the exchange, both ants continue on their way with a renewed sense of purpose. These small moments of connection maintain harmony across the colony, ensuring that every ant stays informed without chaos or conflict. Ant colonies maintain harmony through a balance of quiet activity and purposeful rest. Throughout the day, individual ants slip in and out of brief pauses, moments when they simply stand still and let their bodies recover. These pauses are not signs of confusion or fatigue. They're a natural rhythm woven into their lives, a cycle of work and rest that keeps the colony functioning smoothly. As one ant becomes still, another continues the task, creating a seamless flow of effort across the nest. This gentle alternation allows the colony to operate continuously without ever feeling rushed. The stillness of one ant becomes the strength of another, and together they create a balanced world of calm productivity. In deep chambers far below the surface, ants create nurseries where the air is warm and still. Here, larvae and pupae are arranged with care, grouped according to age, so each receives the right amount of attention. Workers visit these nurseries throughout the day, turning the larvae slowly so that each side receives warmth, cleaning them with soft strokes of their antennae, and feeding them in tiny, measured portions. The atmosphere in these chambers is peaceful, filled with gentle motion and constant care. It is a place where the colony's future develops quietly, surrounded by the soft movements of dedicated workers who tend to them with patience shaped by instinct. Some ants create expansive underground chambers not for storage or shelter but for airflow. These ventilation rooms act like lungs for the colony. Warm air rises naturally toward them, and cooler air flows down from higher passages, creating a subtle circulation that keeps the entire nest from becoming stagnant. Workers sense when these chambers need to be expanded or reshaped. They add or remove grains of soil until the airflow feels balanced again. This constant but gentle adjustment transforms the nest into a living structure that breathes, maintaining comfort and stability without noise or force. Ants possess an exquisite awareness of the sun's position, even when they move through terrain full of shadows. Their internal sense of direction allows them to keep a steady course while foraging. They pause occasionally, lifting their heads as if listening to the sky, then continue with renewed certainty. This intuitive navigation creates graceful paths across the landscape, with each ant weaving gently around obstacles yet maintaining the overall direction. The entire system works with quiet precision, relying on natural light and memory rather than strict coordination. It is a form of navigation that feels almost meditative, shaped by the rhythm of the sun itself. In some species, when the colony relocates, ants carry their young to the new nest with extraordinary care. Workers pick up larvae and pupae with delicate mandibles, holding them as gently as if they were made of glass. The procession moves slowly across the ground, a soft river of bodies flowing in one direction. Occasionally the workers pause, adjusting their grip or checking the path. When they finally reach the new chamber, they place each larva with precision, smoothing the surrounding soil before returning for the next. The relocation becomes a peaceful migration, a shared movement guided by trust and instinct rather than urgency. Ants often form long-lived partnerships with plants, offering protection in return for shelter or food. Some plants develop small hollow spaces where ants can live. In return, the ants defend the plant from herbivores by patrolling the leaves and stems. They move in slow, steady patterns, checking each surface as if reading a map that only they understand. Their presence keeps the plants safe, creating a gentle exchange that benefits both sides. This cooperation unfolds without conflict or tension, offering a glimpse into the quiet alliances that shape ecosystems. During hot months, ants adjust their daily routines, choosing to forage during cooler hours of the morning and evening. This shift is not frantic, it is a gradual transition shaped by their sensitivity to temperature and moisture. As the sun rises higher, activity slows naturally. Workers retreat into the cool soil, where the temperature drops to a comfortable level. Inside, the colony continues its slow rhythms, grooming, feeding, tending to the brood, until the heat recedes. This pattern creates a day that breathes with the cycle of sunlight, expanding and contracting in gentle waves of activity. Some ants store living insects inside sealed chambers as a long-term food supply. These captured insects remain immobilized but alive, kept in a quiet state that prevents decay. Workers check these chambers periodically, ensuring the environment stays balanced. This method of preservation shows a deep understanding of natural cycles and resource management. It allows the colony to maintain steady nourishment through seasons of scarcity without over-harvesting or rushing. Everything is done with calm intention, ensuring the colony remains supported throughout the year. Ants often clean and polish the inner walls of their tunnels, creating smooth surfaces that allow them to move easily through the dark. They use their mandibles and legs to remove small fragments, shaping the soil into curves that guide airflow and travel. This grooming of the nest is done gradually and continually, transforming raw earth into a carefully sculpted home. The tunnels feel quiet and safe, with every surface reflecting the accumulated patience of countless tiny adjustments. When ants discover a new food source, the spread of information through the colony is almost poetic. The first worker returns with a faint chemical signature clinging to her body. As she moves through the nest, her scent blends with the air, catching the attention of nearby workers. They follow her trail outward, adding their own chemical markers as they go. This creates a growing pathway that becomes stronger and clearer with each returning ant. The trail eventually becomes a soft highway made not of physical material but of scent and shared purpose, guiding the colony smoothly toward nourishment. Deep in the quiet heart of the nest, ants create resting chambers where workers pause between tasks. These chambers are carefully positioned so that the air feels comfortable and still, offering a space where the constant movement of the colony briefly softens into near silence. Ants gather here not to communicate or work, but simply to rest in gentle clusters. Some lie still while others groom themselves slowly or adjust their antennae with soft movements. In these dim, peaceful corners, the rhythm of the colony becomes soft and steady, allowing each worker to regain strength before returning to its duties. This shared rest creates a calm pulse within the colony, a quiet reminder that even the busiest systems depend on moments of stillness. Some ants rely on landmarks created by the natural world to guide their journeys across the terrain. They remember the position of stones, sticks, shadows, and subtle shapes in the environment. As they travel, they pause gently to study these cues, adjusting their path with an instinctive understanding of direction. The familiarity of these landmarks creates a sense of calm assurance, allowing the ants to move gracefully even across unfamiliar ground. By blending memory with instinct, they weave routes that feel smooth and confident, turning the landscape into a quiet guide that supports their movements without noise or confusion. In rainy seasons, ants show remarkable sensitivity to moisture by sealing certain entrances of their nest. Workers gather damp soil and pack it carefully around tunnel openings, shaping soft barriers that prevent water from flooding deeper chambers. This sealing process is slow and patient. Each ant adds just a small amount of earth, smoothing it gently before stepping away. Over time, the entrance becomes a protective layer that keeps the interior dry and stable. When the weather clears, they open the tunnels again with the same careful attention. This peaceful response to natural cycles allows the colony to remain safe without panic, trusting their instinctive preparation. Some species keep specialized ants known as soldiers, but even these larger individuals move with a calm, deliberate grace. Their broader heads and strong mandibles give them strength, yet they rarely act aggressively unless truly needed. Most of the time they patrol slowly, sensing vibrations and scents, creating a quiet perimeter of protection around the colony. Their presence reassures the others, and their movements reflect steady confidence rather than conflict. This balance of strength and tranquility helps maintain harmony, keeping the colony safe without disturbing its peaceful daily rhythm. Ants often use their antennae not only to sense scents, but also to read the texture of the world around them. They trace the curves of leaves, the softness of soil, and the roughness of bark with gentle taps, gathering information through touch. This tactile exploration allows them to understand their environment in a detailed, intimate way that does not rely on vision or sound. The slow, deliberate movement of their antennae becomes a conversation with the world, a quiet exchange between the ant and its surroundings. Through this soft sensory dialogue, they navigate even the most complex terrain with ease. Some ants practice a unique form of mutual care by feeding injured or weakened nestmates. When a wounded ant returns to the colony, workers approach it carefully, sensing its condition through pheromones and touch. Instead of leaving it behind, they clean its wounds, feed it through trophallaxis, and help it regain strength. This gentle nursing can last for days, and many ants fully recover because of their nestmates' patient attention. This quiet compassion reveals a deeper layer of social connection, transforming the nest into a place where support extends beyond instinct and into something that feels almost nurturing. Ants communicate danger not with panic but with controlled precision. When a threat is detected, they release a specific chemical signal that alerts nearby workers. Instead of chaotic movement, the colony responds with a coordinated shift. Some ants retreat deeper into the nest to protect the young, while others move outward to investigate. This calm, organized response allows the colony to assess the threat without overwhelming confusion. Once the danger passes, the colony settles back into its natural rhythm, the movements returning to slow, steady patterns that reflect the deep sense of order within the nest. Certain ant species mark time through temperature and sunlight cycles. Their activity levels rise gently with the warmth of early morning, and begin to fall as the light softens in late afternoon. These daily rhythms align the colony with the natural world, creating a schedule that unfolds without force or tension. Ants adjust their pace according to these cues, slowing during hotter hours and becoming more active when conditions become comfortable again. This quiet alignment with the environment reflects a timeless understanding of nature's rhythm, allowing them to live in harmony with the passing of each day. In some colonies, older ants take on mentorship roles by guiding younger workers through their first tasks. The older ants lead by example rather than instruction, performing actions slowly so the younger ants can observe and learn. The pacing is unhurried, allowing the young workers to practice and adapt without pressure. This gradual introduction to colony life ensures that every new ant gains confidence in its role. Through these gentle lessons, the colony maintains continuity across generations, passing down knowledge through soft, steady behavior instead of noise or conflict. Deep underground, where the temperature changes slowly and the air remains still, ants often create chambers that act as buffers against seasonal extremes. These rooms protect the colony during cold winters or intense heat waves. When conditions outside become harsh, the colony retreats into these deeper chambers and waits patiently. Activity slows, energy is conserved, and the nest becomes a quiet sanctuary where time seems to stretch and soften. The colony remains together, sharing warmth and stillness, until the world above becomes welcoming again. These deep chambers represent resilience built through calm endurance rather than resistance. Deep within the quiet tunnels of a colony, ants often create storage chambers that hold not just food but select materials that help stabilize the microclimate of the nest. They bring in small pebbles, bits of plant fiber, and grains of soil, arranging them in gentle patterns that absorb moisture and keep the air balanced. This careful placement is done one piece at a time, with each ant examining and repositioning items until the chamber feels just right. Over weeks and months, these tiny adjustments turn simple earth into a purposefully crafted environment, one that supports the comfort of the entire colony. It is a slow, thoughtful shaping of space that unfolds quietly beneath the world's feet. Some ants use the Earth's magnetic field to orient themselves during long journeys. This sense is subtle, almost like a faint internal tug that guides them through darkness or unfamiliar terrain. When light and scent cues fade, this magnetic awareness helps them maintain direction. They pause gently, sensing the pull, and then continue in smooth, confident lines. This connection to the planet's natural forces creates a deep harmony between the ants and the land they travel across. Their paths become extensions of the Earth's quiet energy, making each movement feel grounded and purposeful. In certain species, the queen emits calming pheromones that maintain unity and stability throughout the colony. These chemical messages drift slowly through the nest, providing reassurance that all is well. Workers respond not with excitement but with steady, consistent activity. The presence of these pheromones creates a peaceful emotional climate inside the colony, allowing tasks to unfold without tension or confusion. Even when the queen is deep within the nest, her influence feels gentle and constant, shaping the mood of the colony through an invisible, comforting presence. Some ants establish subtle boundaries within their nest to separate different activities. Areas for resting remain quiet and dim, while chambers for feeding or grooming hold more movement. These divisions create a sense of order that keeps life flowing smoothly. Ants rarely wander into the wrong chamber because their senses guide them effortlessly toward the environment that matches their current task. This organic zoning feels similar to the way wind shapes dunes or water shapes riverbeds, a natural separation that arises from soft, instinctive patterns rather than strict rules. Ants sometimes engage in cooperative digging where dozens of workers work side by side, passing grains of soil along a living chain. The process is rhythmical and calm. One ant loosens a grain, another lifts it, another carries it, and another places it in a growing mound. This slow passing of soil resembles a quiet assembly line that has existed for millions of years. There is no haste in these movements, only the shared goal of expanding or maintaining the nest. Over time, these collective efforts carve intricate tunnels and rooms that feel both ancient and alive. When ants clean themselves, they release natural antimicrobial substances that help protect the colony from harmful microbes. This grooming is not rushed. Each ant moves its legs gently across its antennae, mouthparts, and body, creating a thorough and peaceful cleaning ritual. These protective chemicals spread subtly through the colony during grooming interactions, offering collective immunity. It is a daily ritual that strengthens the entire colony through soft, repeated gestures rather than aggressive measures. Some ants form temporary bivouacs made entirely of their interlinked bodies, creating living shelters for brood and workers. These structures appear when colonies migrate and need a safe place to rest. Ants lock their legs together in a slow, deliberate pattern, shaping walls and ceilings from their own bodies. Inside the structure, the air remains calm and warm. Over time, as light softens and the colony grows still, the bivouac becomes a gentle cradle where ants rest in shared safety. When it is time to move again, the entire structure dissolves naturally, each ant drifting back into its role without chaos or confusion. In certain species, ants gather resin from plants and carry it into the nest where it acts as a natural disinfectant. The scent of the resin is soft and calming, blending into the air as workers spread it across the walls. This quiet act of maintenance protects the colony from bacteria and fungi, maintaining health without chemicals or struggle. The resin's aroma becomes part of the nest itself, creating an environment that feels both clean and comforting. It is a natural remedy preserved through millions of years of instinct. Ant colonies often demonstrate remarkable memory as a group, remembering which tunnels lead to rich foraging grounds and which areas of their territory are dangerous. This shared knowledge is not stored in one ant, but in the patterns of behavior passed from worker to worker. Over time, these memories form a kind of collective wisdom that guides daily life. Foragers follow routes that have been reinforced by generations, moving with confidence toward places that ancestors discovered long before. This inherited mapping gives the colony a sense of continuity across time, as if past and present coexist through subtle trails left in the soil. At night, when the world above grows quiet, the inside of an ant nest softens into its most peaceful state. Movement slows, sounds diminish, and the air becomes still. Workers shift into gentle rhythms, tending to brood, grooming nestmates, or resting in small clusters. The deep chambers hold warmth while the upper tunnels cool, creating a layered sense of calm that spreads through the colony. In this darkness, the nest feels like a living heart beating softly underground. It is a world built on patience and harmony, where every tiny action adds to the quiet strength of the whole. Some ants create long-lasting chemical signatures in the soil that help future generations understand the history of their territory. These faint scent traces linger for months or even years, marking safe paths, avoided dangers, and areas where food was once abundant. Young workers instinctively follow these subtle patterns, moving across the land with a sense of familiarity, even though they have never travelled there before. This shared guidance creates continuity through time, where each generation leaves quiet hints for the next. It is a silent inheritance passed down through scent rather than memory, allowing the colony to navigate its world with gentle confidence. In deep chambers where light never reaches, ants rely entirely on touch to understand their surroundings. They sweep their antennae along the walls, tracing the shape of each tunnel with slow, mindful movements. Through this tactile exploration, they sense small changes in soil density or moisture, allowing them to detect shifts long before they become problems. The act of exploring by touch creates a deep intimacy with the nest, as if the ants are constantly listening to the earth with their bodies. This connection allows them to maintain their home with quiet precision, adjusting and reinforcing its structure as naturally as breathing. Some ants produce soft sounds by rubbing parts of their bodies together, a behavior called stridulation. These sounds are faint, barely perceptible to human ears, but within the colony they act as gentle signals. Larvae make soft vibrations when they need attention, and workers use these delicate sounds to communicate during digging or foraging. The vibration travels through soil and bodies in a way that feels more like a whisper than a call. This acoustic language adds another layer of connection to the colony, allowing silent chambers to fill with subtle communication carried through the ground itself. During migrations, ants keep remarkable order even as thousands move at once. The procession flows like a single living river, never chaotic, never colliding. Each ant senses the pace of the others and adjusts naturally, maintaining a gentle distance. The movement rises and falls with the terrain, narrowing between rocks and widening across open soil. This flowing organization requires no commands, only instinct and subtle cues shared between countless bodies. Watching such a migration is like watching a quiet tide shift across a landscape smooth and continuous, shaped by harmony rather than speed. In certain species, ants carefully remove the remains of their dead and place them in designated areas far from the center of the colony. This behavior reduces disease and keeps the nest clean, but it also shows a deep sense of order and respect. The workers assigned to this task move slowly and deliberately, lifting each body with care. The quiet act creates a boundary between life and death within the nest, helping the colony remain healthy while preserving a sense of calm purity. The nest feels peaceful because the ants maintain it with attention that seems almost reverent. Some ant colonies cultivate tiny populations of beneficial insects such as aphids, offering them protection in exchange for sweet secretions. Ants guide the aphids to safe parts of the plant, shelter them beneath leaves, and even carry them to new feeding sites when necessary. The care is gentle, with workers gathering around the aphids like patient shepherds tending a flock. This cooperative relationship unfolds slowly and steadily, shaped by trust and mutual benefit. It becomes a miniature ecosystem where both species thrive through calm interdependence rather than competition. Certain ants build towering mounds that rise above the ground like miniature hills. These structures are not random piles of soil but carefully engineered habitats, with internal chambers for airflow, brood rearing and storage. Workers spend months shaping the mound grain by grain, creating a complex home that regulates temperature and moisture naturally. Rainwater travels down internal channels, warm air rises through hidden vents, and cool air sinks into deeper chambers. The entire structure becomes a quiet monument to patience, built not through force but through countless gentle actions. Some ants possess the ability to recognize their nestmates by scent alone, distinguishing hundreds or even thousands of individuals based solely on subtle chemical differences. This recognition creates a deep sense of belonging within the colony. When two nestmates meet, there is no hesitation. Their antennae touch softly in acknowledgement before they continue their tasks. This familiarity forms the emotional fabric of the colony, allowing every ant to move with assurance that it is among its own. The nest becomes not just a physical space, but a shared identity woven through scent and touch. Ants show extraordinary adaptability when confronted with obstacles. Instead of giving up or forcing their way through, they explore gently around the barrier, testing different surfaces and angles until they discover a workable path. This methodical exploration is slow and thoughtful, filled with pauses as ants examine the smallest details with their antennae. When a new route is found, others follow naturally, reinforcing the discovery until it becomes a stable part of the colony's map. Their ability to adapt with patience rather than urgency allows them to thrive in ever-changing environments. In quiet moments, when workers rest near the nest entrance, they often groom one another in slow, rhythmic motions. These grooming sessions strengthen social bonds and distribute protective chemicals across their bodies. The movements are small and careful, creating an atmosphere of gentle connection. The workers linger together in these soft interactions before drifting back into their tasks. These moments of shared calm anchor the colony's emotional balance, reminding each ant that it is part of a larger community shaped by care and cooperation. Some ants create subtle temperature gradients inside their nests by adjusting the thickness of the soil walls surrounding certain chambers. Workers add loose grains where warmth is needed and compress the soil where cooler spaces are required. Over time, the nest becomes a carefully layered environment where heat flows slowly through the structure, settling in the right places like quiet water finding its level. These gentle modifications continue throughout the seasons, allowing the colony to stay comfortable even as the outside world shifts. It is a soft, continuous form of engineering done grain by grain, never rushed and always guided by instinctive sensitivity to the environment. In colonies where multiple queens are present, ants maintain harmony through chemical cues that regulate cooperation. Each queen emits a unique blend of pheromones, and workers move calmly among them, responding to subtle shifts in scent. Even though several queens share the nest, competition rarely occurs because the workers ensure that food, space, and attention are balanced. The entire system functions like a choir with many quiet voices, each blending into the next. This creates a peaceful dynamic where leadership does not belong to one individual, but rests gently within the chemistry of the whole colony. Some ants create soft earthen domes above their nest entrances that act as natural sound filters. These domes muffle vibrations from the outside world, allowing the colony to sense only the most important changes in the environment. This protective layer brings a deep stillness to the inner chambers, shielding the delicate communication inside from sudden disturbances. Workers expand or repair these structures as needed, smoothing the surface with tender movements until the dome feels balanced. It turns the entrance into a quiet threshold between the busy world above and the calm sanctuary below. Ants show remarkable patience when tending to their brood. They move the larvae gently from one chamber to another, depending on humidity and heat, carrying them with a delicacy that seems almost humanly in its care. They tap the larvae lightly with their antennae, ensuring they're healthy, fed, and clean. This constant rhythmic tending forms the heartbeat of the nest. The brood grows not through rushed efficiency, but through daily rituals of attention. Every slow adjustment of position, every soft cleaning gesture adds to the quiet stability of the colony's future. Some ants can sense the faint chemical residue left by predators hours after they have passed. When a worker detects such a residue, she slows her pace and gently redirects her path, leaving a new trail that guides others away from danger. This intuitive avoidance spreads through the colony without panic. Instead of fear, the response is a smooth rerouting of movement, a collective decision shaped by calm awareness. It shows how deeply ants rely on subtle environmental cues, navigating the world with quiet intelligence that protects the colony through careful avoidance rather than confrontation. Ants often reinforce their tunnels by adding moisture to the soil and shaping it with meticulous movements. They gather water droplets on their bodies and release them into the walls, making the soil more cohesive. Then they pat it into place with gentle motions of their legs and mandibles. This slow, strengthening process keeps tunnels from collapsing and allows new chambers to be carved safely. The work resembles a kind of earthen craftsmanship, carried out in darkness but guided by an instinctive understanding of structure and stability. Some species take part in escort behavior when a worker returns from a challenging journey. Nestmates meet her at the entrance, touching her antennae and gently walking beside her as she re-enters the colony. These escorts help gather information from her scent trail and guide her toward the correct chamber. The ritual is slow and supportive, giving the returning worker time to recover while sharing valuable information with the colony. It is a moment where cooperation deepens through simple, caring gestures that quietly reinforce the bonds within the nest. During dry seasons, ants often move deeper underground to seek cooler, more humid layers of soil. This migration happens gradually, with workers guiding the brood downward through well-worn tunnels. The deeper chambers feel insulated from the heat, offering a stable refuge. Activity slows into a relaxed rhythm as the colony adjusts to its temporary underground retreat. Once the surface cools, they rise again with equal patience. These vertical migrations form a yearly cycle of movement that mirrors the quiet pulse of the earth itself. Some ants keep libraries of scent within the nest, areas where pheromone trails accumulate and linger, helping the colony remember past events. These scent-rich corridors act like archives of experience, preserving information about old food sources, enemies, and safe routes. Young ants learn these patterns instinctively, absorbing the history of the colony through the air itself. This shared memory gives the colony long-term stability, allowing it to grow and adapt with a sense of continuity that transcends the lifespan of any individual. In rare moments of profound calm, when the colony has fed well and the environment is stable, the entire nest may fall into near silence. Movements slow into gentle pulses, and the soft vibrations of the colony quiet to almost nothing. Workers rest in loose clusters, grooming slows, and the brood lies peacefully in its chambers. This collective stillness is not sleep in the human sense, but a natural settling of energy that restores the colony's strength. It is as if the entire nest inhales deeply, holds the breath, and lets the world outside fade into gentle distance. These moments of quiet balance give the colony resilience, allowing it to meet the next day with calm, steady purpose. Deep underground, ants sometimes create buffer chambers, rooms that sit between active areas of the nest and the outer world. These chambers absorb changes in temperature, moisture, and vibrations, giving the inner colony a stable shield against sudden shifts. Workers visit these spaces throughout the day, adjusting bits of soil and small pieces of plant matter until the chamber feels balanced again. This quiet layering of protection makes the nest feel like a calm sanctuary, wrapped in gentle gradients of earth. Each chamber becomes a whisper of safety, shaped grain by patient caretakers who understand their environment through touch and instinct. Some ants have a remarkable tendency to share tasks without ever appearing to communicate directly. When a worker becomes too tired or slow, another steps into her role seamlessly, guided not by orders but by subtle cues in movement and scent. This quiet substitution keeps the colony running smoothly. The transition between workers feels almost invisible, like a soft handoff of responsibility that maintains perfect rhythm. Over time, this natural rotation prevents exhaustion and spreads effort evenly across the colony. It becomes a living example of balance, a system where no one carries too much for too long. Ant colonies often adjust their foraging patterns based on the softness or firmness of the soil beneath them. When the ground is loose and comfortable, they travel farther, sensing that the terrain will be easy to navigate. When the earth becomes dry and hard, they shorten their routes, conserving energy and reducing stress on their joints. These decisions happen quietly and continuously, adapting in real time to the feel of the ground. The colony responds as if it shares a single awareness of the landscape, moving in harmony with its textures and shapes. Some ants use tiny droplets of liquid to soften tough material before shaping it. When they encounter fibrous plant matter or hardened soil, they moisten it with careful placement of fluids from their bodies. The softened material becomes pliable, allowing them to mold it gently into walls, floors, or protective barriers. Each droplet is used sparingly, applied with care, and shaped into place through slow, steady motions. This delicate interaction with the environment shows how ants solve problems without force, using moisture, touch, and time to transform their surroundings. In rare circumstances, ants create deep sleeping clusters where dozens rest close together for warmth and safety. These clusters form when the colony anticipates cooler nights or periods of low activity. The ants settle in layered patterns, each body adding its heat to the next, creating a calm pocket of shared comfort. Movement slow almost to stillness. Antennae shift gently. The air warms softly around them. When they eventually awaken, the group disperses with quiet purpose, refreshed from the shared rest. These clusters reveal a tender social bond built on simple contact and mutual support. Some ants adopt lost or wandering individuals from neighbouring colonies if their scent has faded enough to blend with the adopting group. The newcomers are inspected gently, touched with antennae, and then slowly integrated into the rhythm of the colony. This rare but peaceful acceptance shows the flexibility of ant societies, where identity exists through chemical signature rather than confrontation. Over time, the adopted ants work side by side with native workers as if they had always belonged, forming a harmonious blending of histories under one shared scent. Ants sometimes create bridges using carefully arranged plant stems or soil pellets rather than their own bodies. Workers collect materials one by one, placing them at the edge of gaps or uneven terrain until a stable crossing forms. The arrangement is intentional and slow, with multiple workers adjusting angles and anchoring pieces until the structure feels firm. Once complete, foragers cross the bridge calmly, trusting the gentle engineering of their nestmates. This handmade architecture becomes a quiet testament to their ability to shape the world with patience and precision. Certain ants produce a gentle tapping sound with their mandibles when working in complete darkness. These soft taps help coordinate digging patterns, allowing workers to understand each other's positions without bumping or crowding. The sound is faint, almost like the muted heartbeat of the nest, echoing through packed soil. As soon as the chamber's shape becomes clear, the tapping fades naturally, replaced by the quiet brushing of soil as workers smooth the walls. This subtle soundscape gives the dark nest a feeling of communication that is soft, rhythmic, and deeply calming. Some ants create small air pockets in the soil around their tunnels, shaping rounded cavities that keep the walls from collapsing. These pockets act like hidden supports, distributing pressure evenly across the structure. Workers sense where these pockets are needed by feeling the tautness of the soil with their antennae and legs. They carve them slowly, removing a few grains at a time until the balance feels perfect. These invisible cushions turn the nest into a stable, breathable labyrinth where air moves gently and walls relax into natural strength. When ants gather food that is too large to carry alone, they surround it and move in smooth coordination, adjusting their positions through tiny signals of touch. Each ant pulls or lifts just enough to keep the motion steady. As they travel, the group gently rotates around the object, shifting roles without any disturbance to the rhythm. The object glides across the ground as if carried by a single intelligence. This cooperative dance reveals the quiet grace of ant teamwork, where strength emerges not from force but from harmony. Some ants build layered floors inside their chambers, spreading fine grains of soil in smooth, thin sheets that settle like soft dust. They create these layers gradually, adding one after another until the chamber floor feels firm yet cushioned. Each grain is placed with delicate precision, gently tapped into position with their antennae and legs. Over time, this creates a surface that absorbs sound and vibration, turning the chamber into a calm, muffled space where movement feels light and quiet. These layered floors act like natural carpets beneath their tiny feet, bringing a sense of comfort and stability to the heart of the nest. Ants sometimes sense approaching weather long before changes become obvious to larger animals. A subtle rise in humidity or shift in the air prompts them to adjust their routines. Foragers return earlier, entrances are tightened with fresh soil, and the brood is moved deeper underground. These changes happen slowly and smoothly, guided by instinct rather than alarm. The colony prepares itself in a calm, orderly way, trusting the signals carried through the air and earth. This sensitivity creates a deep harmony between the ants and their environment. allowing them to adapt without stress or disruption. Some species construct storage chambers with sloped floors that allow excess moisture to drain away. The design is simple yet effective, shaped by countless small movements of soil over time. Workers add grains where needed, smoothing the slope and adjusting its angle until the chamber remains dry and suitable for food storage. These angled floors help prevent mold and decay, preserving seeds and fragments for long periods. The entire structure develops naturally as ants respond to the slightest changes in conditions, shaping their home through patience and continuous observation. In certain colonies, ants rotate the location of brood chambers throughout the seasons. During cooler months, they move the young deeper underground, where the soil holds warmth. When warmer weather arrives, the brood is moved upward into chambers that allow more airflow. This slow migration follows the natural cycles of temperature and moisture. Workers carry each larva with gentle precision, placing them in tiny clusters where conditions feel safest. This dedication creates a nurturing environment where life unfolds in harmony with the shifting seasons. Some ants create soft soil mounds around the entrance of their nest, not only for protection but also to act as a natural filter for scents. When the wind passes over the mound, it carries subtle chemical messages inward or outward, helping the colony sense changes in the environment. These gentle air currents bring news of food, threats, and the movements of neighbouring colonies. The mound becomes a quiet communication hub, shaped and maintained through countless tiny adjustments that allow the colony to stay aware of the world without leaving the safety of their home. Ants show remarkable grace when navigating narrow, crowded spaces. They adjust their bodies slightly, angling themselves to allow others to pass, often pausing in brief moments of stillness before continuing. This soft coordination ensures that tunnels never become clogged. Everyone fits through naturally, guided by mutual awareness and patience. Even in the busiest corridors, their flow resembles a peaceful current of water moving around stones. The colony thrives because each ant instinctively yields just enough space for the next. Some ants collect grains of soil that have particular textures, preferring smooth, rounded pieces for building delicate structures and using rougher grains for reinforcing walls. Their choice is not random. They feel each grain through their mandibles and antennae, selecting the ones that best suit the task. This tactile decision-making creates structures that are stable, breathable, and resilient. The nest becomes a masterpiece of sensory craftsmanship, built not by sight but by touch, guided by an intuitive understanding of the materials beneath their feet. Ant trails often form gentle curves rather than straight lines. These curves reflect the terrain, the wind, and the collective memory of the colony. The curved paths are easier to maintain because they avoid sharp turns that could break scent trails or confuse younger workers. Over time, these trails become smooth arcs across the landscape, soft lines that blend into the natural shape of the earth. When many ants travel together along these curved paths, their movement feels graceful and rhythmic, like a quiet procession shaped by the contours of the land. Some ants leave behind faint chemical notes when they encounter unusual objects or unfamiliar terrain. These notes do not signal danger but serve as gentle markers, allowing future workers to approach the area with slightly heightened awareness. The markers fade slowly, guiding exploration without alarm. This system helps the colony learn about its environment in a calm, methodical way, transforming unfamiliar spaces into familiar territory through layers of soft, accumulated experience. Deep within the nest, certain ants dedicate themselves to cleaning walls and ceilings by brushing away debris and smoothing surfaces. These janitor ants move slowly and deliberately, ensuring that airflow remains gentle and that the nest stays free of mold or clutter. Their work often goes unnoticed because it happens quietly in the background, yet it supports the health and comfort of the entire colony. This constant care keeps the nest feeling open, clean, and calm, like a home tended by invisible hands. As our quiet journey into the world of ants comes to an end, let your breath settle into an easy rhythm. We have wandered through tunnels shaped by patience, chambers warmed by shared work, and pathways traced by instinct and memory. These tiny beings move with a calm purpose that feels almost meditative, showing us that life does not need to be loud to be meaningful. Every grain of soil they place, every gentle brush of their antenna carries a sense of steady intention, a rhythm that repeats quietly day after day until a world is built from it. When we slow down enough to notice their small and careful actions, the mind begins to soften. Their cooperation feels like a lullaby, their persistence like a deep hum beneath the surface of the earth. They remind us that even the smallest lives hold entire universes of structure and harmony, and that peace often exists in the places we overlook. In understanding their quiet work, we understand something about stillness within ourselves. So as you drift into rest, hold on to that softness. Let the calm movement of the colony fade gently into the background. Let your thoughts loosen and settle like grains of sand finding their place. You do not need to do anything more. You do not need to think or plan. Just allow the mind to slow to its own natural pace. Thank you for spending this time with the Sleepy Scientist. If this quiet exploration brought you comfort, consider liking the video or subscribing for more gentle journeys into the hidden rhythms of science. Until next time, may your thoughts stay light, your dreams stay peaceful, and your night unfold with the same steady calm that guides the smallest creatures beneath our feet. Good night.